You are about to find out that several things you have confidently believed your whole life, things you may have corrected other people about, things you learned in school, things that feel like common sense, are completely and provably false. Not slightly wrong. Not partially accurate. Not a matter of interpretation. Just wrong. And the fascinating question is not just what the facts are. It's why these particular myths stick so stubbornly, why intelligent people repeat them for decades, and what that says about how the human brain handles information it received long ago. Get comfortable. Some of these will sting a little. Myth number 1, you only use 10% of your brain. This is perhaps the most persistent neuroscience myth in existence, repeated by motivational speakers, used in movies, printed in self-help books for decades. It is completely false. Brain imaging technology shows that virtually all regions of the brain are active across the course of a normal day, many simultaneously. Even during sleep, significant brain activity continues. There is no dormant 90% waiting to be unlocked. The myth likely originated from misquoted early neuroscience research and misinterpreted statements about brain efficiency. The truth is that the brain is an extraordinarily energy-expensive organ. It uses around 20% of the body's total energy while representing only 2% of its mass. Evolution does not maintain a 90% idle organ. Every part of your brain has a function. Myth number 2, lightning never strikes the same place twice. This is not only false, it is precisely backwards. Lightning preferentially strikes the same places repeatedly. The Empire State Building in New York is struck by lightning approximately 20 to 25 times per year. Every year. Lightning rods exist specifically because lightning reliably returns to the same elevated, conductive points. The myth almost certainly persists because it makes intuitive emotional sense. As a metaphor for luck, it feels true. Bad luck shouldn't keep hitting the same person. But lightning is not luck. It is physics. And physically, the same tall, conductive target is exactly the most efficient path for charge to travel repeatedly. The saying is a comforting story. The science is a different story entirely. Myth number 3, humans have exactly 5 senses. We were all taught this: sight, hearing, smell, taste, touch. 5. Clean, memorable, wrong. Neuroscientists and physiologists typically identify between 17 and 21 distinct human senses, depending on classification. Proprioception, knowing where your body parts are without looking at them, which is why you can close your eyes and touch your nose. The vestibular sense, balance and spatial orientation. Thermoception. Detecting temperature. Nociception, the sense of pain, which is neurologically distinct from touch. Interoception, sensing internal body states like hunger, thirst, and heartbeat. The reason this myth persists is simple: 5 is a clean, teachable number, and the ancient Greek categorization stuck to school curricula long after science moved on. Myth number 4, goldfish have a 3-second memory. This myth is so widely repeated that it has become shorthand in everyday language: you have the memory of a goldfish. It is comprehensively false. Multiple scientific studies, including work by researchers at the Technion Institute and by a 15-year-old student who won a science prize for this specific experiment, have demonstrated that goldfish can be trained to perform tasks and remember them for months. Goldfish have been shown to learn feeding lever locations, remember training patterns, and recognize specific humans. Their memory spans are measured in months, not seconds. The origin of the myth is unknown, but its persistence is a perfect example of how a vivid, repeatable story completely overrides inconvenient evidence for decades. Myth number 5, the average person swallows 8 spiders a year while sleeping. This one is particularly vivid and particularly persistent, and it is almost certainly completely fabricated. Arachnologists, spider scientists, point out that the conditions required for a spider to walk into a sleeping person's mouth are virtually non-existent. A sleeping human is a dangerous sensory environment for a spider: heartbeat vibrations, breathing airflow, body heat, possible snoring. All of these register as significant threat signals to a spider's extremely sensitive sensory system. Spiders actively avoid large, vibrating, heat-emitting creatures. The myth appears to have originated in a 1993 article by columnist Lisa Holst, who was specifically writing about how easily people accept false facts presented convincingly. The spider myth was her invented example. The internet took it seriously and shared it for 30 years. Now here is the most interesting question: why do these myths survive? Not 1 year, not 10 years, decades, sometimes centuries, after being definitively disproven. The answer is psychological, and it comes down to a phenomenon called the illusory truth effect. The brain stores vivid, emotionally engaging, easily repeatable stories differently from dry, qualified, evidence-based corrections. A myth that is short, memorable, and slightly surprising gets encoded in a way that makes it easy to retrieve and repeat. A correction that requires nuance, caveats, and longer explanation is harder to store and harder to share. Every time the myth is repeated, the neural pathway for it strengthens. Every repetition of a correction competes with a story that already had a head start. This is why debunking alone rarely works. The brain keeps reaching for the version it heard first, heard most often, and remembers most vividly. Myth number 6: some people are left-brained and analytical while others are right-brained and creative. This is one of the most widely believed pieces of pop psychology, and large-scale brain imaging studies have consistently found no evidence for it. A 2013 study from the University of Utah scanned over 1,000 people and found no evidence of dominant hemisphere personality types. Both hemispheres are used for virtually all complex cognitive tasks. While certain specific functions do show some lateralization, language processing leans slightly left in most people. For instance, the leap from that to left brain people are logical and right brain people are creative is not supported by neuroscience. The myth persists because it offers a satisfying, simple way to explain human personality differences. The brain is not that tidy. 6 myths. All of them confidently believed by millions of intelligent, educated people. None of them true. And the pattern connecting every single one of them is the same: each myth is vivid, simple, repeatable, and emotionally satisfying in a way that evidence rarely is. The brain didn't fail when it believed these things. It was doing exactly what brains do, preferring the story that was clear, memorable, and repeated often. The real question this video leaves you with is not, how wrong was I, but, what's the most useful thing I can do with this? And the answer, I think, is simple: hold your most confident beliefs a little more lightly. The things we are surest about are often the things we examined least carefully, because certainty feels like a destination and curiosity feels like more work. It isn't more work. It's just a better way to live. Which myth surprised you most? Tell me in the comments.